I wanted to go through this presentation with you to really talk about the purpose of a yearbook because I think, again, in the middle of a pandemic, it's important that we all, whether we're remote or in person, that we all have a clear idea of what the purpose is of this 2021 yearbook. So, yearbooks have been around and they've been a school tradition all the way back into the 1800s, right? So I mean, the slide shows you here that the first one appeared in 1845, and they're still evolving. There are some high schools that don't do a print yearbook anymore and just do a digital scrapbook, which I think is an interesting idea, one that we may eventually have to investigate as well. But schools started as school scrapbooks. I mean, and I could show you all of my scrapbooks at home. I am the family historian, and so I'm always taking pictures. I'm always thinking about how or what this is going to look like in my scrapbook, and so I think it's fitting that the yearbook is kind of my jam as well. So modern yearbooks, ones that we're going to look like, or the ones that we're going to create, and the ones that we're going to look at here, some of them are picture books, some of them are history books, some of them are simply for reference, and other are public relations. And then that last bullet that you can't see says some are really just for fun. And it's possible that a yearbook could be multiple, or many different functions. But something that we all have to think about so that we're at least on the same page as we create this book. So let's look at this book. This is an example of a picture book. Okay, yes, there's a story, but the main emphasis on what the purpose of this yearbook page is to, to show off the pictures. I like how they, used color. And so, if you think back, those of you that were in yearbook last school year, this page has a whole lot of text on it. And you may be thinking, Miss Powers, I didn't sign up for, journalism class. I didn't sign up for the limelight. I didn't sign up to write. Well, guess what? We may not have a lot of pictures this year, so we may have to look at doing more text. So just an example of what a picture book kind of looks like. Here's another one. I really like how they numbered things, so it kind of draws your eye to where they are. So lots of pictures, just a little bit of caption writing kind of throughout, but mainly pictures. Here's one that you can see at the bottom is from Kansas. You can see that obviously there's pictures on it, but this one is talking about more of the history of girls tennis and how it is at the school. And you can see, in the upper left-hand corner, the pie chart, talks about, does locking more school entrances keep us safe? That's not something that you would necessarily have a picture of. How about that poll at the bottom? Who voted? I think this year, like none other, we're going to be talking about who's going to vote. And, we'd never ask people who they voted for, but we could certainly include some historical information about, who voted and do a poll. Here's one about a kind of a historical reference. And this one I think is really cool, looking at the trends that are now. Remember that yearbooks are really for, in 25 years, when you hear a name or you see a picture of a person and you maybe recognize them, you go back to your yearbook and you look back at it. And wouldn't it be cool to, have this kind of historical reference so that going back, what were the fashion and food and music trends. So I think that this would be a really cool spread to do in our yearbook as well. Here's one that is more reference. So, there's lots of facts. There's lots of information here. I would say, a lot more emphasis on facts and details and data. I mean, obviously there's some pictures, but those pictures are not what I would call really candid style pictures. They're group pictures. And I mean, it's a bunch of, names typed out. So, but I mean, we all have that need to have these types of pages in our yearbook as well. So, think back to yearbooks that you've looked at, and they are reference books as well. And here's what a typical what I call mugshot page looks like. This is a reference book. It talks about who are the students that are in this class. Okay, so we need to remember that parts of our yearbook are going to be, used for reference. Dr. Gresham has asked that we always include the record of every varsity sport, so that we do have that piece of both history and reference, so that we can look back and see, what was the varsity baseball's record in 2020, 2021. So that's something that we definitely want to include, um, to help make our book a reference for people in the future. Public relations, so this spread is about. It looks like Panther Pears. It looks like our maybe our preschool program would be something like this. Our Veterans Day assemblies, where we reach out and really connect the community, people who don't necessarily attend Limestone High School. I know during homecoming time, we've included information about, who the winners are from the youth homecoming royalty voting. Easter seals time. This is a big public relations piece in our yearbook. So, we need to remember that our book is definitely used for public relations, because we do a lot of activities that include the public as well. Here's another one. It looks like they were getting, school supplies for students. The upper left-hand corner talks about self-esteem boosters. I know we've done a lot over the last couple of years to really look at the culture at Limestone High School. We brought in a public speaker, and those were documented in the yearbook because those are public relation pieces. We had the Creating Champions group that one school improvement day, people could sign up for adulting classes. And of course, that was included in the yearbook. So when you're thinking about what are things that need to be included in the yearbook, you need to remember everything that happens in our school that also reaches the community needs to be included in the yearbook.